and of course shouting didn't do any
Right.
good.
Did he tip his wings? Did he let you know whether he saw you?
Yeah, he didn't. He didn't see us.
Oh.
Yeah. And a few minutes later, we heard the sound of a truck motor.
Oh, no kidding.
And what had happened was that we were coming down the left fork of what they call 40 Mile Canyon, and this couple in a pickup truck with their son and a dog were coming down the right to the fork. And the reason that they were up there, they were grazing cattle. And they had gone down to Civilization several days before, pulling a trailer back, and the trailer blew a tire, and they left the trailer, went back, and they were going back to retrieve it with a spare tire. Well, they saw us and we saw them, and we were very happy to see them. It turns out we had another 10 miles to walk to get to the main highway.
Oh, my Lord.
So they drove us down, and they also had some provisions on board, so I can still remember how great canned peaches and soda crackers tasted.
Wow.
And we got down to the main highway between Vegas and Beatty, California, and there was a telephone there, so Vic called and told people what our situation was. And of course, they had some planes out looking for us. Even the McClellan or Mather, I've forgotten which, sent out some B-17s.
But they had no, I mean, they just had a rough idea of where you guys were.
Right. They thought we might have actually crashed into Mount Whitney.
Oh, wow.
But anyway, the sheriff from Beatty came down and took us back up there, and then somebody volunteered to take us up to Tonopah, where we stayed overnight. And my two older brothers that lived in Sacramento at that time, they chartered a plane and came down and picked us up.
Oh,
yeah.
Oh, that was nice.
But one of the first things I wanted when I got to Tonopah was a beer and hard-boiled eggs.
Oh, my goodness. Well, did you stay working for that company flying the tomato transports?
No, that was our one and only trip. You know, Vern and Vic went back with a pickup truck and a replacement engine. Took them 10 days.
Oh my goodness! To swap it themselves.
Swap the engines.
Well, something had to be going through your mind. Here you made it through the war, all those missions, all the.
That's right.
And then a load of tomatoes is going to do you in. Oh my goodness.
Well, the day that I left on that was I had a date set up with my now wife for that evening.
Oh, and you had to stand her up?
Yeah, but our mutual friend Jack Weary contacted her and told her that we were missing.
My goodness.
But when we got back, I got a telephone call, and the landlady said, there's somebody that wants to talk to you. So I got on the phone, and the fellow said, he said, I'm a Boy Scout master. And he said, I understand that you've just had a survival trip. And he said, I would like to have you come and give a talk about this to our scout group. All of a sudden, I recognized the voice, and it was my boss. and I said, Frank, should I bother to show up for work?
Oh, no.
He said, not until Monday.
So what did you go on to do career-wise after that?
Well, after leaving United, Jack Weary's father-in-law was with Prudential Insurance Company. And he basically got me a job working in their mortgage loan and real estate department. And I worked for Prudential in Sacramento for a couple of years, and then they transferred us to Fresno in 1951, and then got a transfer down to to Sherman Oaks in '62, another promotion, and then in '65 I had an opportunity to go into the mortgage banking end of the business with what was then Union Bank, and was there for until '71, when one of the former head of the real estate department, by that time I was manager of the department for mortgage banking, and but anyway, Jim Harper invited me to come to work with him in a real estate investment trust called Continental Illinois Properties, which had, at the time that it was sold, it was listed on the New York Stock Exchange. At that time, in '79, when it was sold on a tender offer, we had about $1 billion portfolio, including the Watergate in Washington, D.C., and shopping centers and office buildings and
oh my goodness,
a whole gamut of real estate projects throughout the country. And at the time I was with the trust, I was also doing work for Continental Illinois Bank in Chicago, who had sponsored the trust. And so after the trust was sold in August of '79, actually I stayed on with them until January of 1980. Then I went to work directly for Continental Bank, but stayed here in California and traveled all over the country, mostly to the major cities, and worked on major projects, essentially doing some troubleshooting for them in the real estate end. And one of the projects that I worked on did essentially an economic analysis, was what was in 9/11, 2001, was the Marriott Hotel at the World Trade Center.
oh my God.
Yeah, this was back in about '81 or '82 that
Right.
I worked on that. It was originally operated as the Vista International Hotel, and 800 rooms, 21 stories, looked like a lean-to against the Twin
I
Towers.
bet.
And of course, the 1993 bombing of the towers was in the parking structure, which was under the hotel, and took them 2 years to restore the
Wow.
hotel. But of course, it failed in the 2001. But they had reinforced with steel beams the parking structure from the '93 bombing, and some people actually survived in the parking structure
Wow.
in 2001. Yeah.
Now, we didn't really go into when you went. How long when you got back from your ordeal with the plane in Death Valley?
Oh yes.
How soon did you go on your date with your future wife? I mean, did you?
We went on the date that evening.
Really?
And drove up to Lake Tahoe. Crazy, we were young, and we didn't stay overnight by any means. But anyway, then I had two brothers that lived there at that time, and so we had a lot of chances to socialize and get to know each other. And Jack was there, and so in reality, I proposed rather early on,
How early?
And I guess about a month after I got back from that
Nope.
ordeal.
A month from your first date?
Yeah, second date, yeah.
Wow.
And then we were married on September 14th of 47, the same year.
Oh my goodness.
Right.
Well, hey, when you know it's the right one, and you're still married today, right?
Yes, yes, yes. And our oldest son is, well, he was born in 49, so he's a judge.
Oh, really?
Yes, in the LA Superior Court.
Which court?
Downtown.
Mm-hmm.
And actually, he was just appointed last March.
Oh, congratulations. That's
Thank
great.
you, thank you. And
How many kids do you have?
well, our oldest son, Tom, Thomas Trent Lewis, and then our daughter, Marin Marie Avarista now, and we had a son, Stephen, who cancer took him when he was 18.
Oh, no.
Yeah, he was born in 1954.
Oh, my God, I'm so sorry.
Yeah, he died 2 days after his 18th birthday.
Oh.
And then we also lost a daughter at infancy. She was born in 52. But we now have 4 grandchildren. Tom's children are in their 20s. I think the daughter is the youngest at 23, and then Trent, he's actually Thomas Trent the second instead of Junior. And he was born in, let's see, 79. So, and then our daughter's son he turned 9, Taylor, and then Marin and her husband Tony adopted an infant last year, Spencer. So he's just a year old.
Oh, how nice.
Yes, yeah. And then Tom is married to Chris. She grew up in Canoga Park. And Marin, our daughter's husband, Tony, Anthony, was born, actually born back east. No, he was born out here, that's right. Grew up in North Hollywood.
So they all live
Yes.
locally? You're able to see them all?
Yes,
Oh, how nice.
yes, yeah. The daughter and Tony live in Simi Valley, and Tom and Chris lived there for quite a while too, but they now live in Thousand Oaks. And so it's nice. That's, of course, one reason why we're still here.
Right. I wanted to ask you, did you stay in touch with your crew after the war?
Well, I visited Dick Szymanski, the co-pilot, in Detroit in 1975, I believe.
But I mean, right after the war, did you guys write? Or?
Yeah, we did for a while, yes. And then, well, Dick came out, Dick Szymanski came out to Sacramento, and we visited there one time. And then it was either 75 or 76, I visited on a business trip in Detroit. He went into the stock and bond business, got his degree in journalism after the war, but got into the stock and bond business. And then Dewey Young, the navigator, lived in Knoxville, Tennessee, and I corresponded with him for a while. And then a couple of years ago, I found out that he had passed on. I talked to his widow. Then Ted Ulrich, who was one of the waist gunners, lived in the Chicago area, and I was able to talk to him and write to him on several occasions, but this was in the quite a bit later, and but he passed away about 5 years ago. And then the only one that I have contact with now is Frank Adams, who was the ball turret gunner, the youngest of the crew, and he lives in the Dallas area.
Oh.
And so, you know, I write to him and we have telephone calls periodically. I saw him in Tucson, Arizona in 1997, and at that time, why the flight engineer, QA Quigley, was alive, and he lived in Apache Junction,
Oh, okay.
which is east of Phoenix, and so the three of us gathered at that reception,
Oh, nice.
and I had been in contact with Quigley. Actually, I contacted him via the internet. Found out for him.
It's a great thing, I'm telling you.
Right.
Is that when you found out about you found out about the reunion group for the
Yes.
bomb group?
Well, no, I'd heard about that before.
Oh, okay.
But they were having a fellow by the name of Ken Decker wrote numerous issues, monthly publications about the 384th Bomb Group for about 6 or 7 years, and then he was injured and had to give that up. He has a website, and I think I gave that to you. He's really got a lot of the history of the 384th, and he sponsored this reunion in Tucson at the Pima County Air Museum in February of 1997. So anyway, the Quigley and Adams and I met there, and before we actually met, but on the telephone, Quigley said to me, "Lewis, are you still that skinny kid?" And I said, "Quigley, I'm not a kid anymore." Yeah, but his is a tragic story. He stayed in. His father was an officer in the 100th Bomb Group during World War II.
Oh.
He was also a World War I veteran, so he wasn't on flying status.
Right.
But anyway, his name was also Q.A. Quigley. The Q and the A were the names.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And, but Q, as we called him, stayed in and became a flight engineer for in the Army on a C-124,
Okay.
125, one to the other, and on a flight into Bangkok with 17 CIA agents on board.
Oh, goodness.
This is before Vietnam.
Right.
The prelude to Vietnam.
Pre-advisor stage.
Yeah. The plane crashed, and Quigley was the only survivor.
Oh my God.
Broke his back. He was a paraplegic.
Oh no.
Eventually evolved to a quadriplegic when I saw him, you know. But he also was addicted to cigarettes, you know. Had throat cancer.
Oh my goodness.
Had operations for throat cancer. Smoked after.
After the surgeries?
Yeah. And that's what killed him.
Oh.
Dodie and I, my wife, her name's Dolores, but we call her Dodie, and I went over to memorial services for him, and gosh, I forgot just what year. It's been about six or 7 years ago, and they held it at the Moose Lodge in Mesa, Arizona, and at the table they had his jacket and his cigarettes and his cap, And he was married by that time. And so anyway, they had a nice, he was a frequent visitor to the Moose Club in Mesa. And the place was full of smoke. we stayed for most of it. We couldn't. I'm allergic to smoke. I smoked at one time, but it's been more than 40 years ago since I gave it up. And anyway, the story of the jacket was that Quigley was at some meeting, and Barry Goldwater was there.
Oh, okay. Fellow aviator there.
Yeah. And Barry said to him, "Where's your jacket? Leather jacket." And he said, "I don't have one." Barry said, "You'll get one." So his jacket was there at the memorial.
Oh, that was nice.
Yeah. But the three of the fellows that were on the crew, I haven't been able to contact. The one fellow, Ernie Glick, who was the bombardier, didn't go to England with us. And then the toggler, Ed Nestor, who was from the Pittsburgh area, I haven't been able to locate him. Actually, I did contact an Ed Nestor near Pittsburgh. Turns out he was in the Navy.
Oh. Wow.
And then Jerry Cooper, who was the tail gunner, I haven't been able to locate him. I know he was from Michigan, but I haven't been able to kind of find out about him. And I have their serial numbers, but of course now the military uses the Social Security number rather than the old serial numbers. Yeah.
Now, you said you and your wife had gone over to England.
Yes, we went over to England in 1995. Well, we've been there several times before.
So she was able to see where you were stationed?
Yes, yes. And we, in 1995, in recognition of the 50th anniversary of VE Day, we went over with the Bond Group Association. And I had been in contact with a young lady who's now about 31 by the name of Lisa Parnell. And Lisa lives in the northeast, what they call East Anglia, near Norwich, which is near Cambridge.